So as promised, we're back in the garden today and I'm going to give you a bit of a tour and show you what's going on and what's growing here. Okay, I'm afraid it is just a bit of a washout. We've had absolute horrendous rain over the last 24 hours, so it's a bit of a mud bath in here for the birds, but I guess there's less watering for me to do outside. So last year's fence project is holding up really well, but unfortunately still haven't got around to building the gate. That'll be a future project. So if we take a look at the veg plot first, so as you come in you've got all these raspberries we planted last year. Now these are just some small ones we dug out from my grandparents' house, but they've shot up this year. A few kind of random harvests earlier in the year, but they look like they're gonna send out a good crop in the next month or so. What they do need is some sort of framework to tie them up against the fence. I don't really want to have to build like a fruit cage as such. We usually get to them before the birds, or at least the girls get to them before the birds. So we'll try and just support everything up to keep it tidy. Now if you remember way back in the spring we planted up tomatoes, and I just planted one full seed tray, and I think that was 40 or so plugs with 4 varieties. But of course we could only fit 16 plants in the polytunnel, so I had all these waste plants all potted up. Not wanting to waste anything, I've ended up planting loads outside and I'm really impressed with how they're going. So we'll have a look at the tomatoes next. So first thing I did is I built, just out of some kind of 2x2 timber, I just built a frame to hang them up on using the string method like I did in the polytunnel. Essentially we've managed to build ourselves a hedge of tomatoes here against the back of the raised bed. We've got 12 plants along here, they're up at about 5 foot now. Majority of them are cherry tomatoes, although there are some of the Alicante as well. I thought I could fit them all in here, but of course we still have more plants left. So as well as all these, I planted an L-shaped hedge over here, which is more of a cordon sort of traditional bamboo structure. Just haven't had time out here lately to kind of pay them any attention, but they need to be tied up because they're on bamboos. It does tend to take a bit more time, that route, so where possible stick with the string method. But even though these are outside, there's plenty on here, absolutely loads. You know, they're growing next to each other, but cherries on this one, some bigger ones here, loads of trusses. I haven't stopped them, so they're still sending out new trusses, but I will limit them soon just to make sure everything ripens. So if we move behind the tomatoes, down here I still haven't done any paths or beds here as such. There's a few bricks there, but that's all. So in the middle here there was a second planting of spinach. It's all kind of either been pecked at by the chicks that have been running through here, or just in the shade a bit, so it's a bit of a small crop there, but there's a whole row there. So with the beetroot, I've planted them pretty close together and I'm just kind of thinning them out as we go. We're mainly using them for roast, on a roast beetroot at the moment. But if you look in here, there's some great, these are the Boltardi I think they're called, which are more traditional sort of purple beets. So usually with these I just rinse them off, twist them, and then the chickens have these, which they love, and of course we get the veg. There's probably another 10-15 kilo of beets in this area here. So I think we've got 3 or 4 rows of the traditional purple beetroot, and then in here we've got some more of the candy beetroot, which is the one with the white and pink kind of concentric circles. They're really nice. They grow quicker, or they seem to at least. They bulk out a bit, so we've had a load of these already. Interestingly, much smaller leaves than the other ones, but just as nice to eat. We do sometimes use the leaves in salads and things when they're small. So of course we switched from the raised bed method to a more traditional layout this year, and while it's a little bit harder to keep on top of weed wise because you're not really seeing everything up at you know, a higher level. It's not as organized, things can blow in and creep in. It does allow you to use more space, and you know, you don't have to have the raised beds, you don't have to build them or upkeep the timber and things like that. So I think that there's benefits to both sides. Maybe that's a video for the future, but we are using both methods here at the moment. We've managed to hold off on the bindweed in most areas. We gave it a good shot at getting rid of it earlier on. But whatever this weed is, we've just got everywhere. It's like a tall dandelion, and that's what we're really struggling with. But like I said, all of this stuff goes straight into the chicken pen and soon becomes either chicken food or compost. Right, let's take a look at one of my favourite veg, which is down the end here. Again, we're a bit neglected down the end here, but this has got to be one of the best veg to grow as far as the colours. This is our rainbow forest, and this is all chard, but we've got 3 or 4 varieties in here, and we just kind of snip away at them as and when we want them. These have been a bit bugged out actually, these big leaves, and they do go to seed, like these ones at the back here have gone to seed. But you know, you really get an amazing display of colour, and there's loads of uses. We use them when they're really small in salads, you know, these small leaves here. Otherwise we kind of stir them up in stir fries, or we use them bubble and squeak and things like that. Here we've got Monge 2 in the corner. They've done alright. You know, one of those things that you've got a small window to harvest them in. These ones, we've been away for a couple of days, so these ones have got a bit too fat, and in which case they go into the chickens. This comes to the end of its crop and didn't really grow up as much as it should. I didn't start them off on small sticks like last time, so they've sunk back down a bit. We're into the courgette forest, or zucchinis if you're in the States, and we've got the yellow ones going in here. I think they were meant to be green, unless I just clicked on the wrong seeds, but anyway, they're fine. We're getting 2 or 3 of those a day, and there's only so much of that you can eat. So one of our main successes of the year has been lettuce, salad crops. I did a whole raised bed full right at the beginning, as you may remember. We've harvested those, and I've tried some successional sort of seeding as we went through the early summer. I also planted out some of the smaller plug plants outside, or I say outside, in the main veg garden, not in the raised beds. Now they have been a mixed sort of result. So I was growing 2 lettuces. I had I think they were called all year round. They were like a nice soft, loosely hearted green lettuce. And then we had these red, kind of, I think they were called red salad bowl, but they were kind of a Lola Rosso type thing, or an oak leaf actually, more like that. Those ones seem to have done okay. The greens, which were in between all the reds, complete fail, and the main reason is this: they are covered in both green fly or white fly on the root section, but also the ants came in and ate the roots. Oddly, they haven't really touched the reds, but I will be pulling those out soon, just in case they get attacked too. But unfortunately, the green nice lettuces didn't hold up out here. Then we're on to the runners. Runner beans, as always, pretty faultless. You can kind of just stick them in and forget about them. I think there's probably 10 plants or so here. Could have gone a bit taller with the bamboos, but they'll kind of sort themselves out up there. In the middle of this teepee wigwam structure, I planted some rocket. Now it's a bit late, and I just scattered it on the floor in there. But although it's a bit shady, there's a kind of half decent crop in there. It's just making the use of an extra bit of space that would otherwise be wasted. I do reckon though you could quite easily grow these up the strings in the same way we've done the tomatoes, in which case you'd save yourself a lot of space. So I'm just going to get back on top of these tomatoes and keep them going up those strings. It's only a kind of maybe 30 seconds to a minute each day as you water them or walk past. Just give them a turn, pinch out any that needed, and I'm thinning out all the bottom branches. the raised bed, the only raised bed which we've kept. Saying that, it's been the most productive space, and that might be a coincidence because we ploughed a lot of compost into here and we really kind of put a lot of effort into this before we... Hi, dodgy camera angle that was. So yeah, like I was saying, the raised bed, we put several bags of compost. We had our own compost from the old beds and from the compost heap. So it's quite a nutrient rich kind of growing media, I guess, but we have also paid attention to weeds and pests and things like that in here, perhaps overlooked them more in the open beds. But we started off with kind of 4 or 5 different crops in here, just loads of lettuce. We had the heads of red lettuce and green lettuce I mentioned, but also we had this salad mix, you know, the kind of cut and come again type lettuce mix, and that has just been probably the most fruitful crop we've had so far this year. We're just cutting maybe 3 or 4 big bags of nice washed leaves and using them or giving them away every week. So we're just, you know, that is a really nice high quality, easy to grow crop. Spinach as well, we just did one whole section of spinach, maybe 2 to 3 square feet I guess, and that we just kind of got through, and it, although it was all ready at the same time, we kind of trimmed off the top and it all came back again. We kind of had 2 or 3 cuts out of it. Then we've got things like flat leaf parsley, which although we don't use on a daily basis, we're thinking we'll probably just freeze that down. So we've just got kind of herbs for the rest of the year, I guess. My main weakness was I didn't keep on top of the planting. So there was a good 4 to 6 weeks from planting out the first lot before I thought about planting again. So we had this kind of dry spell last week. I've still kept a little bit of that cut and come again sort of salad mix to kind of get us through, but the rest of it is nowhere near ready. So I've got a load more on the way. Alternatively, we might have a bit of a garlic butter making session and just freeze down a load of garlic butter or homemade garlic bread, because that's certainly a good way of using up all that parsley. Check how wild chickens go for spinach. And I guess the main showcase, let's head into the polytunnel.